Welcome back to another Star Mini Gaming YouTube video. Once again, we are continuing our series on reviewing the Balance of Power book. And this one I wanted to real briefly touch on a couple of the War Scroll battalions within the book. We're just going to start from the very first one, right here with Torglug's Foul Blessed. Interesting name there, Foul Blessed. And we're going to just progressively look at each one, talk about what it is, what it does, what units are required, and, just kind of brief thoughts about it. Again, this is real quick. I'm not going into, like, super in-depth. Perhaps at another date I can, or, maybe different members of the community who are part of the YouTuber community or just watch the videos can comment below on really good combinations that they can maybe think of other battalions or other units that don't exist inside the battalion, but maybe their special rules pair well. This is just, they can talk about how they would work. This is just a brief overview. I just want to talk about each one, so maybe if you haven't bought the book but you're considering it, or you just want to know what's in it before you buy the book, that you have that available to you. So in this first one, this is one of the interesting ones, because if you've kind of paid attention to the way the War Scrolls have been changing over time, you'll notice that a lot of unique named characters have been genericized. And their models on the GW website also reflect this. So for example, Vlad, one of my favorites, his model now on the website says Vampire Lord, right? Manfred's old on-foot model now just says Vampire Lord. Currently on my app on my phone, I still have Vlad's War Scroll saying Vlad. Krell, for example, no longer is listed as Krell. He's just listed as a White King with his axe. And that obviously poses some new interesting things to how certain rules in the game will play out. But I'll talk about those at another time. But anyways, this is the first battalion with taking those generic characters and making them unique again. So in this one we have a Lord of Plagues who becomes Torglug. And he is, in a few of the books, the one that I don't know when I'll be putting up a review. It's actually the most recent novel that's come out that takes place in the realm of life with Alariel. He's all the books that take place in the realm of life, Torglug has been there thus far. He is known as Torglug the Despised. He is a champion of Nurgle and is held in high esteem. He is one of the most prominent commanders attempting to capture Alariel of Nurgle's forces. But in addition to bringing him, you need to bring 3 units of Blight Kings. And you gain these abilities. Filled to bursting. Torglug has received the utmost of Nurgle's blessings and has all the power a mortal body can contain. Reroll felled wound rolls for Torglug and add 1 to the damage inflicted by any weapons that he wields. In addition, Torglug's bountiful blessings are such that his rotten regeneration ability is enhanced. He heals 2 wounds in each hero phase instead of 1. Clearly, that's pretty self-explanatory. Very powerful abilities. You get to reroll felled wounds, you add 1 to the damage that he inflicts with his weapon, and he heals double what he previously did. So he is a significant step up over a standard generic Lord of Plagues. And then we have Torglug's Bodyguard. The Putrid Blight Kings are Torglug's bodyguard. They refuse to give up fighting as long as he is nearby, even enduring what would otherwise have been fatal wounds. And for them, you can reroll save rolls of 1 for these units whilst they're within 7 inches of Torglug. In addition, these Putrid Blight Kings do not have to take battle shock tests whilst Torglug is visible to them. So that's pretty big. Obviously, not having to take battle shock tests is significant. There's nothing worse than having your models survive an enemy's attack only to flee the battlefield. And the fact that you can reroll their saves means when paired with this other ability, they're sticking around much longer than they normally would. The second one that we're going to cover, and again, I am going to break these up into a couple videos so it's not too long. We're going to kind of break them up by what, from a narrative perspective, kind of fits together. So the first one that you might see paired with this, on the opposite side of the table actually, is Alarielle's Heartwood Guard, which is a Sylvaneth formation. And you need in this one branch wraith who becomes the Lady of the Vines, 3 Tree Lords or Tree Lord Ancients in any combination, and 3 units of Dryads. And you gain these abilities. I'm not going to read all the flavor text for the rest of these, just to keep this video a little bit shorter. But basically, the first one is Alarielle's Guardians. The bravery of all the units within this formation is 10. And I am somewhat paraphrasing these, so it doesn't actually call it, this formation. Then the second one is the Song of the Lady of Vines. And it says that the Lady of Vines can use this magical healing power in each of her hero phases. If she does, pick a model anywhere on the battlefield, and that model heals 1 wound. If the model is within 18 inches of her, that model instead heals D3 wounds. Now, what's interesting is that the first one specifies that it's only within the formation, but this one doesn't. So I would assume, and again, this is something to make her more uniquely the Lady of Vines, which is a unit character from the story that is an important character. It appears that she can heal anyone with that, which would make sense from the narrative. She does heal some of the Stormcasts that are allied with her. But that's just important to note, is that it's not limited to the people within this formation. And the third one is Alarielle's Handmaiden. And it is that you may reroll all hit rolls of 1 for the models within this War Scroll Battalion if they are within 15 inches of the Lady of Vines whenever the roll is made. So again, that's pretty good. Any chance to reroll for offensive purposes in Age of Sigmar is good, because Age of Sigmar skews heavily towards powerful offense over powerful defense. Typically, there are ways, of course, to buff your defense to make yourself very hard to kill, but Age of Sigmar, as a system, is more weighted towards offense than defense. So that's a big help. And then finally, the third one that you might see paired together if you're playing through the narrative that's shown in this book, and that ties in with these, is the Stormcast Eternals Grimm's Brotherhood. And for this formation, you need 1 Lord Castellant, who becomes Grimm. And now, if you're not familiar, because a lot of the heroes for the Stormcast have very similar names, the Lord Castellant is the one with the big halberd and the warding lantern, and comes with the little Griffhound dog. So you need 1 of them that becomes Grimm, who is a really cool character from the novels. You need 0 to 1 Griffhounds, so you can bring it, but you don't have to. His hound is an important character in the books. I'm not trying to say like on the same level, but there are several scenes in which you see his hound. You need 1 unit of prosecutors, 2 units of liberators, and 1 to 2 units chosen in any combination from the following: liberators, judicators, retributors, protectors, and decimators. So basically what you need for this formation is the Stormcast half of the starter box and the Lord Castellant model. You don't have to make any other purchases beyond that to run this, but it does allow for you to have some unit flexibility in what you would like to bring. And the special abilities for this are Master of Defense, add 1 to all save rolls from Grimm, and to the save rolls of any of the units within this War Scroll Battalion that are within 9 inches of him when the saving roll is made. That's pretty good. Adding 1 to the saving rolls means that Grimm now saves on a 2-up without any modifiers. So if you don't play Ones Always Fail, which technically the rules don't specify that, but most people do house roll it because it can be quite ridiculous whenever you stack certain abilities that make your armor value a 1-up, or your to hit or to wound a 1-up. unless you're doing mortal wounds, he's got a really good chance to save whatever the attack is. And the other special that comes into play that helps make, Grim a unique character is that Grim Determination. And it says, ignore any modifiers for the number of models slain when taking a battle shock test for a unit from Grim's Brotherhood if it is within 9 inches of Grim. Obviously, that's a big ability. That means that barring any other modifier within the game, some kind of negative penalty to your bravery value and or any kind of ability that might force you to roll a bit higher whenever you're taking it, like add something to it towards failing it, any of those kinds of things. Apart from that, none of your Stormcast can fail a morale check if they're within 9 inches of Grim, is basically what that means. So you never have to worry about additional guys fleeing the battlefield, which it's hard enough typically to make Stormcast units flee because their squads are all of multi-wound characters or multi-wound units with pretty solid bravery stats, right? So it's not likely that they flee anyways. But that's the end of this first video. I just want to review a couple of these War Scroll battalions, kind of pair them up in for the scenarios that kind of take place from the narrative perspective within the Balance of Power book, what you might expect to see together. And so there will be a couple more videos like this that I'll be briefly going over them in those same groupings. But until next time, this is James, and happy